Hi there, everyone. Welcome. I hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to jump on and chat really quickly about this transit that we're currently moving through. As it's intense, it actually woke me up, and I was like, have to talk about this. Yeah, no, gotta talk about this. I can't just. I'm hearing also put it off. So I was going to go on members, but I thought I would also update here on the general channel about this particular transit and what we'll talk at greater length about in members, and we get deeper into the astrology there, usually on members, which has been really fun, by the way. So thank you guys for joining there, and I've been seeing some new members here, so it's really exciting that we're able to have that space as well, to talk more astrology. And as you must know by now, I love astrology. I feel like it is a really appropriate adjunct to energy work, and even, we'll say tarot readings or card readings, energy readings, because it's sort of like the blueprint as I see it. So let's though talk a little bit about, yet again, this transit. It is, well, let me just say this. Number one is it can be fucking annoying. I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. Mercury at 29 degrees, we'll say right now, of Gemini, leading into the zenith of Cancer. It's not just this transit itself that's, kind of like maybe feels out of place a little bit, may feel a little irritating. It's also the accompanying transits to it. And but before we begin, I also wanted to, use this opportunity to talk a little bit as well about how to access the videos for members, because I've seen that some people are having some sort of issue with the video playlist, something like this. It doesn't let me see it from that vantage point. So but I've heard that, first of all, if you're wanting to change your membership type, you got to do it on desktop. And I think that's the only way. That's what people have said. Also, though, if you're looking for where to access the members' videos, then I think you have to go to the main channel page. So, like, if you search Alchemy and You, and you go to the main YouTube channel page, you scroll down to the bottom of that page, you'll see different playlists, right? Like, actually, even in general, if you're not a member, you can also access the playlist on the channel, the general playlist on the channel. And I've organized that. Usually I do based on the month and, let's say, the moon cycle stage, or, what kind of reading it is. For example, the 1st to the 15th of the month readings, 15th to the 31st, etc. But anyways, if you remember, you'll see a little playlist at the bottom that says members videos, and that's where you'll be able to access all the content. I do, though, also post when we do go live on members. I post on the community tab, so if you're a member, you should get that notice, and it's set for members. So that's another way. And I think, just as in a general way, even with the YouTube videos in general, if you're subscribed to a channel, you have to have your phone turned on for notifications for YouTube. So anyways, let's clear it and ground. And okay, you just go to the community tab, Michelle. Yeah, I guess everybody, there are different ways of going about it, but again, it doesn't let me see it from like that vantage point, but that's what I know. There's a playlist for members videos on the channel page at the very bottom. So let's get back into it though, talk about these transits. Again, it's not just Mercury at 29 degrees. It is that, but it's also like what is accompanying that, which is, there's very strong Neptune energy that is at play, by way of Neptune being in Pisces 1, by way of Neptune being in retrograde 2, and also by way of Jupiter, the co-ruler of Pisces, being also in Pisces and being also retrograde in Pisces. This is a lot of Neptunian 12th house water energies. Neptune, just as in a space of synopsis, we'll say, is really about the imagination. Okay, like, just roaming kind of like without boundaries in the space of also in our hopes and our dreams. It could be a beautiful energy, okay, but very creative, okay, but it can also rule illusion and these types of things. Now, that's very frustrating in the context of Mercury being, this is just my interpretation, by the way, right? Of course, you could always interpret it in so many ways, and so many factors are at play, just sort of deducing in a basic sort of way. And again, we'll get further into the sort of the nitty gritty. We'll get more into the comments as well in members later tonight, maybe. But if not tomorrow, most likely. But we've been wanting to update that more or less, like actually on the daily. So the weekly members we're pretty much meeting like a few times a week. So yeah, I'm probably tired of it by now, but yeah, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, so going back to it, okay, Mercury in Gemini is an energy that speaks of the intellect space. Okay, it does of logic, we'll say, quote unquote, using the rational mind. Okay, at least the desire space to make a decision. It can be hard though with Gemini, and you know, Gemini is kind of that dirty energy. It can be as well, rules the nervous system. It can be kind of like, you know, the anxious energy space as well, we'll say. But coinciding with this really strong Neptune Pisces imaginative energy, it's like, well, we've got two really strong polarizing agendas. I kind of see it like that here. It can be seen like that, and it will always depend on how you ultimately channel that energy. You know, with you, how in general do you feel with Gemini energy? How in general do you feel with Pisces energy? Is it something that you maybe have trouble with at times? Is it like a patternized energy that's frustrating? Take it as you will. And you may be able to pick up on that by way of, you know, certain cycles when, you know, let's say astrologically, when we step into periods where we have, you know, transits that really accentuate Gemini, third house, Mercury energies, even Virgo, okay, because they share that ruler of Mercury. Or even, okay, like Pisces, right? 12th house again, Neptune, even water energy in general. Even in general as an element, you'll be able to usually tell, am I having trouble with this particular frequency? Like every time, let's say, for example, you know, we have a transit that hits on, you know, it goes into the certain sign, house, etc. I feel like XYZ. So in some, you know, everybody will handle a certain frequency differently. But that's, again, where I find astrology can be so helpful, because it does sort of orient us to examine more closely and carefully a certain area of life in terms of how we're channeling our potential ultimately. And that's how I see astrology. That's why I love astrology, because it's really helpful when you look at it from that perspective as well. Okay, not just like, oh my god, it's so irritating, like Mercury is retrograde, but like, you know, what is it that I'm maybe, you know, wanting to manifest in that space, and how is it that even, let's say, retrograde cycles like Mercury retrograde can help me see more clearly where it is that I have, you know, not been creatively inclined in that area of my life. Interesting. Let's clear it around. Yeah. So now, what else is really particular about this particular cycle is that Mercury was in retrograde, and it was in Gemini. Okay, so Gemini is again the natural ruler of Mercury. It is very strong, obviously, then, you know, in that sign. And so we've been, in other words, you know, Mercury's been dealing with a lot. You know, the way I like to see it as well is that it's, one second, let me just open the window because there's no air yet. Sorry guys, one second. If you kind of see it as, let's say, you know, it's almost like, we'll say, give the example of like someone who is sent off on a mission, okay? And maybe at some point, you know, we may end up, I'll talk more about my philosophy specifically with transits and planets at a certain point, but in a general way, it's kind of like you can see it as like, okay, like every planet is related to a certain sign, and every planet is related to a certain archetype, energetically, element, so on, and area of life. Yes, okay. So when a planet is moving, let's say, out of its constellation, like let's say, take an example, Mercury, well, let's use an example. Mars here right now is in Leo. So Mars naturally rules Aries, the first house, right? And I'm explaining this so we can get it more clear here in our mind as what does it mean, for example, when Mercury is shifting in and out of certain, but yet again, we should get into this more in members. I wanted to just do a general thing here, but because I also don't want to overwhelm. I know many people are like, okay, well, okay. But I feel like this is an important concept here. You know, when Mars, for example, naturally rules Aries, it's like, and it moves then into Leo. It is still in this particular example. It is in it is in the same element, okay, but it's kind of like still holding representation of Aries energy. So Mars is in a way kind of like a representative of Aries energy first house energy. But almost like on vacation. That's kind of like how you can see it. Okay, like moving through the lens or through the field of Leo energy. So, okay, but anyways, before it gets really confusing, let's go quickly back to that Mercury Gemini. So Mercury being in Gemini is like in its home in a way. It's very strong. Yes, this is public. Yeah, I felt guided to jump on public also because I wanted to give the notice, the updates for members. Because I've been getting a lot of messages. People are like, I can't access the members' videos. I don't know where they are. And it's like, they're like freaking out. And I don't know how like to explain this because then if it's like, I've talked about this in videos, but then apparently I guess like maybe not everybody's seeing the videos or they're not seeing that part of the videos. So it's like, I don't know how to like respond to you. And I've not been emailing anymore. So it's like, yeah, it's trying to understand how to do this. Oh, Paige says, Natalie, please check that the members only include. It is public. It should be public. It should be public. Okay, but yeah, we'll look into this. Anyways, let's clear it around. We were saying that yeah. So Mercury and Gemini, yes, yet again, you know, has been experiencing a lot. So if you imagine, what has the tour of Mercury been? Mercury has been in its ruling sign, which I see as kind of like a final friggin' exam. Like this is a really intense experience, especially just in a collective way. We've been having so many interesting transits that are also related to the collective movement, and especially with Jupiter going retro. Yeah, we're going to be reviewing the past from a very interesting vantage point as Jupiter moves back into Aquarius from, yet again, Pisces, its natural ruler. And yeah, we're going to go back to that period of time. We sure are. When about 6 months ago, when we had, you know, moving into the age of Aquarius and you know, all of what happened around that period of time, whatever it happened to be. And so yeah, okay, but that's a side note. But I, just to reiterate, I don't see transits as just like an insulated like caption. Okay, it's like everything like kind of needs to be seen in tandem with another. So Mercury being in retrograde, meanwhile Jupiter going retrograde in Pisces, back into Aquarius, you know. But yeah, okay, so it's just a side note. But anyways, if we're looking just at Mercury moving into Cancer from Gemini, these few days can be really frustrating. Okay, so just like know that, and you know, because we're basically clearing out what Mercury's been through for the past few months, and it's been retrograde in its ruling sign yet again, and it's like, again, simultaneous with these other, you know, main macro transits. So if you're trying to make a decision, we'll just say there's like kind of like, let's clear it around. Yeah, if you're trying to make a decision and you're like not understanding, like there are too many factors going on, it's like I don't know like what's going on. It's like I keep trying to make a decision, but then there are these like weird elements, like, you know, factors, characteristics like of the situation, maybe even that keep popping up. This is also a really extremely karmic time. Just a side note, you know, with yeah, so a lot of factors at play. We're going to jump into members now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Love and light to you. We're going to again jump into members now. I've tweeted the link, Alchemy and You. That's like one of the only ways we can like sort of type to one another now, at least while I'm on the live. But also through the community tab. If you guys are not checking out the community tab, I post there quite often, update with videos and different content. So yeah, general sort of like, you know, notes as well. Sometimes I'll repost videos. As well there. So anyways, we'll see you in members, you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Love and light to you. I'll also put the link in the bio box here. Bye, you guys.